Welcome to Bragg Boat Business, the podcast that shines a spotlight on the incredible entrepreneurs and business owners in and around Bragg Creek, Alberta. Each week, we pull back the curtain on local storefronts, fantastic restaurants, skilled tradespeople, and dedicated service providers, giving them the chance to share their inspiring stories of resilience and success. You'll connect with the faces behind the businesses you love, discover some hidden gems, and be reminded how your support makes a remarkable difference in our community. Reach out and let's get the word out about your small business. Let's start bragging. This week, we speak with Rob Sawchuk of Turkey and Pistols in Bragg Creek, Alberta. Now, Rob is one of the coolest people I've ever had the pleasure to speak with. Just a genuine gentleman who loves his life, loves his wife, and his community. He shares a story of how he became a small business owner from a humble start in Lone Rock, Saskatchewan, and the people that helped him along the way, and how he's passing it forward. Enjoy. Right on. So thanks, Rob, for joining us on the inaugural podcast for Bragg Boat Business, a small business podcast and based in Bragg Creek, Alberta. It's our very first episode. I'm stoked to be here.
Oh, thank you very much for having me as this first tester.
Yeah, no, it's I'm looking forward to the conversation. You know, Turkey and Pistols is just a super cool spot. It's such a great vibe in here.
Thank you very much for saying that. I mean, that's the whole point, is really trying to make a vibe of a place that's cool and try to make something that people will want to come to and maybe tell their friends about and feel comfortable and safe when they come inside.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we're going to get to talking about more about Turkey and Pistols, but let's go back. Let's go way back to the beginning.
Okay.
How did you end up in Bragg Creek?
Well, it's a really long story. I've told a few people in the past, but I come from a place called Lone Rock, Saskatchewan, outside of Lloydminster. I was born and raised in Lloydminster, but my first few years was at this cool place called Lone Rock, Saskatchewan, that does not exist anymore. Oh. The municipality gave up on it.
Oh, really?
So now it's a weird crop of, acreages that are a former town that has all these memories that are kind of long gone. But when I was really young, we moved into Lloydminster, and that's where I grew up. And so that's right on the border of Alberta and Saskatchewan, which also makes a very interesting start to your story. You're like, well, what side do you live on? So I proudly lived on the Saskatchewan side. I'm a Riders fan, ride or die, whether I'm a hardcore CFL fan or not. I bought season tickets to cheer against the Stamps.
Nice.
I totally did. And when the Riders came in, it was like
pandemonium. Oh, yeah.
My section learned to like me. And I bought 2 seats so I wouldn't have to go by myself. And they were really cheap at that time, too. They were really cheap. But yeah, I'm from Lloydminster. I'm a creative kid. I have a big Métis family, so I'm related to half of Lloydminster and surrounding area.
Nice.
My mom's family's from the Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan area, Loon Lake, Saskatchewan. A lot of my friends are still there, and all my family just admire the area, and they don't go too far, but they know every nook and cranny and where to get pike out of the water. And so that was home. And so I was a creative kid there. I learned how to draw, and I was into art. I started with a pencil. I did other things: watercolor, collage art, mural art, graffiti art, all through my growing up.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was it. So that's where I'm from.
And you came from a big family.
Yeah. Humongous family. My mom's dad was one of 12, and my grandmother was one of 14.
Wow.
And then my dad was one of 8, and then my mom was one of 5. And so you imagine, and they're all in driving distance, like an hour and a half from each other. So, and you're from Manitoba, so you kind of understand, like you go to grandma's house and everybody's like 2 hours away.
That's
at the most, right?
Yeah.
It's really cool. I really love it. And I was telling you earlier that, someone would be like, who's that? Oh, that's my cousin. Who's that? Oh, that's my cousin. And you're like, are you cousins with half the town? You're like, yeah, absolutely, they are. And which is really great. So that was fun. That was home.
That's a nice part about small towns and small cities too.
Yeah.
It's just a different way to live.
Well, my best friends still live there. Their parents are there, or they have such roots there that they're all there. So I kind of live vicariously through them, and they remind me like, well, it's changed. I'm like, I know every town has, but it's awesome. And then you kind of, there's a root, and I don't look poorly upon anyone who never wants to leave home. Like if they want to stay there and they're never going to see the world, that's great. Own it. Love home, right?
Exactly.
You can go see the world. I did it, and now I haven't left Bragg Creek area in 3 years.
Yeah. That's how much you love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. So you started you grew up in Lloyd, and then how'd you end up in Southern Alberta?
Well, I didn't know what I really wanted to be when I was a kid. Like thinking back, I don't remember. I wanted to be a rock star like everybody else. Like I always liked being funny. I liked comedy. I think I was just drawn to things that were kind of performance. I'd like learn magic tricks and stuff like that. And I wanted to be something. And then I noticed my friends drawing, and I was drawing in elementary school. And I've told this story in the past to people that I think back, and it was pretty good stuff. I can't remember if it is, and there's no evidence of it. But I know I was drawing things that were kind of maybe beyond, a little beyond what it was. Yeah. At least it was starting to look nice, right? You see them on the wall.
There's a glimmer.
Yeah, it was like real shapes, not just like weird hands and stuff. Like I was kind of, but I remember drawing Bo Jackson in junior elementary school, and Michael Jordan, and there was like cartoons of those guys, right? Yeah. There was like the All Stars, which is this really forgotten about cartoon where Michael Jordan, Bo Jackson. You remember that?
Yes.
And Michael Jordan, they were like superstars, and they had spaceships, and they were superheroes.
I think that's how Space Jam started, wasn't it?
Probably. Maybe? Pretty close, yeah. And so I draw stuff like that, and I would draw the Major League Baseball with the Indian hair, right? Because Métis. So there was these little things that I was getting into, and then a friend of mine, Steve Vallette, he could draw really great. And it was super inspiring. And I'm like, I want to do that, what he's doing too. And then I think we were all in the same art class, me and him and my other buddy, Jim Taylor, who is, again, an exceptional creative person. And we were thick as thieves as young people once we were in the same art class, and maybe in grade 7. And all of a sudden, we got this little thing, and people were encouraging it. And then we were really making art that people liked. Not like it was, winning awards, but we were good, and people were giving us the praise and the shining on us, right? Like complimenting us and encouraging us to go. And we found friendship in that, and that kind of spurred on creativity. Like I wasn't sure what I was ever going to be.
Who did?
Right.
Who did back then?
Yeah, no one really sat you down and go like, here's maybe how to think about it. They would just kind of be like, here, let's go to career fair. And I played football, which was really a huge part of my life in high school, and informed me as a leader, I think, a lot.
Yeah, it would.
A lot of weird things happened for a small town football team in my high school. We lost 3 games in 3 years, and we won provincials. And we were really good, and it puts a weird thing of never losing in you.
Right.
Yeah. It was. You
get a taste for winning.
Yeah. And so I loved it, but I knew I wasn't going to be hitting the CFL anytime.
Sure.
But I think art then cracked on, and we really started to find an avenue. And then our friend, my friend Steve's cousin, Clay Weishauer, who's another really inspiring creative person now. He's done all kinds of great stuff in Los Angeles, creative director. He was going to Alberta College of Art. That's all they called it at the time. Now it's the University of Art or something. I can't remember what it's called now. But the last I remember, it was ACAD, Alberta College of Art and Design. So Clay was going to ACAD. And I'm like, well, let's do what Clay's going to do. And that was the only way out. And I didn't want to go to Edmonton. I don't know why, because it was too close to Lloydminster. I wanted to get farther away.
Spread your wings a bit. Sure.
And then that was it. It was like, okay, well, I guess we'll go to ACAD. And then we found this flyer about making video games at the school called Applied Multimedia Training Center. So now that I say that, I've skipped this major point that happened in high school. And my buddies were kind of like the art guys in high school. We were walking down the hallway, me and my buddy Steve. Our art teacher goes, you want to talk to these 2 guys? And not that we were doing anything bad, but there was graffiti going up around town, and there was clearly only a handful of people doing it. So
we weren't that conversation.
We weren't sure what kind of conversation this was going to be, but it turned out this guy was from a computer game that was being developed in Lloydminster in 1995.
Oh my.
By two former residents of a farm south of Lloydminster. Their mother was a real estate agent in Lloyd. Got them a little place to start an office, and they were hired by this place called Interplay, subcontracted to this place called BioWare to build an international video game.
Really?
For PC consoles. And they were looking for artists, and the point at us was not for the graffiti. It was for, hey, you're going to want to talk to these two guys. So we talked to this guy and goes, we need artists to help us build this video game. But I'm not kidding. This summer, it'll be 30 years since someone taught me how to do digital designs. For 30 years, all I've been doing digital design. Wow. So for the summer, our summer job, everyone else was doing summer jobs at ice cream shops and stuff and delivery. We were building a video game.
No kidding. That's fantastic.
And it turned out to be the very first game by BioWare, which is out of Edmonton, which is one of the biggest game developers in the world, or were at one point. We were using the internet in 1995 to download images from another office. We were sending things through. We were building like flames and explosions and robots and these guys were building software for us to make robots.
Wow.
Like it was all happening in 1995.
Ground floor stuff.
Yeah. Then when we got to Calgary, we're like, we got to build video games. We were really pumped, right? And then so we found this place called Applied Multimedia Training Center. This is like a year later. So we get to school and we've now worked on this video game. They asked us if we would like to quit school and come and build this video game with them. No kidding.
Wow.
And I was like, no, my mom's not going to.
They're not going to get that.
I like just looked at them like when they said it. And I don't know if they were totally serious, but I was like, my mom's not going to allow that.
Did they throw money at you? Like
No. And we weren't really making a lot of money, but it was enough money when we were kids. You know, it was enough money to go buy. And we blew it all summer. We partied.
Of course.
We were rock stars. We were listening to Notorious B.I.G. So I was like, I had a Kangol hat. I was buying clothes. You know, we were eating out. We were pimping. But I mean, it was cool. And so basically we called home. We're like, we found a school. We didn't find jobs. Parents are like, come home. So then we came home. We talked about it. And they just sent us back. Both enrolled. We got an apartment together. We were a block from Chinook Center. Oh, yeah. It was right down there, right in that Center 70. I still remember it. Right on McLeod Trail, south of Chinook, is that Wendy's. Right there, the famous Wendy's. That was our school. Was like a block away from that. And they taught us digital design. And some of the best creative people in Calgary came from that school.
Interesting.
You walk out 8 months later, you're a dangerous person at that time because you had more skills than everybody. But we didn't learn design, so we delved into magazines and books, and we just learned it on the fly and learned how to design and typography and fonts and colors and composition and all of that. It all came out of magazines and inspiration and things that we learned and learning at Hard Knocks.
That's interesting. You know, just tying it all together. When somebody feeds that kind of passion when you're young like that, how it can just catapult you into great things later in life and just develop those skills and you find fulfillment in it.
Absolutely. I think we always have to be encouraging young people that they can try something that's almost seems unattainable. But yeah, you encourage like, okay, you're really good at that. Just keep going because everything is consistency. That's what I'll tell you. Absolutely. My skills have only come from consistency. You're coming from a small town, but you understand like they sometimes don't know what to do with a person with creative skills. They don't know where to tell you.
It's outside the box.
Yeah. I was growing up. No one said to us, you want to be on Saturday Night Live? Well, then you need to go to Chicago and get on Second City and learn improvisation. And that's how you do it. They don't tell you there's a subscription or like a path.
Yeah.
Like it's this idea that it's so unattainable that you don't even bother asking.
Yeah.
Right?
It's for other people. It's not for me.
Yeah. Or it's like, it's like a dream. And so even for me, I only stayed in Calgary because no one said, well, you should go to LA and get jobs there. You know, it's kind of that idea, like until someone tells you you can do it, you don't think that you're going to do it.
Exactly.
So for our young people, we should be like, you can go anywhere in the world. You can work anywhere. You can work for Facebook. You can work for Universal Pictures. You can work for the Powderhorn Saloon. You can work for Turkey and Pistols. You can work anywhere in the world, right? And you can dream on. Yeah. It's worth a try because it's never a fail. It's a try. That's how I see it.
Yeah, exactly. It's experience.
Yeah. So that's what got me to Calgary and being a creative person.
So eventually you must have found a corporate job.
Well, yeah. I mean, you go for your first job. I did go home because I didn't have no money and no car or nothing. And so I worked at a sign shop in Lloydminster and designed everything under the sun. Learned a lot more typography, learned hierarchy, how to put a name, how to put numbers, how to put offerings. Sign design became like my back of my hand, font design, typography, a whole art form in itself. There's really famous books on it.
Really?
And some of the album covers on the wall are done by former sign designers.
Really?
Yeah, I can see the sign design in them, right? And there's a back and forth in that world. It's really typography design. And so I got a job through this place called Folgard Visions. It's long gone.
Wow.
But it's like a step to a hilarious conversation because like it was on its last legs. So I came in and I got one paycheck and then I didn't get a paycheck. And I'm like, hey, but this young mouthy guy was not going to get taken advantage of. And I just walked in. I'm like, where's my paycheck? And they're like, oh, we don't have any funds. I'm like, but I worked all week.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, and I'm like, well, I don't volunteer.
This isn't a charity, is it?
Yeah. And I was like 19. Like, I don't even know how I'm mouthing this old man off. And he's just like,
you probably needed to pay the rent.
Yeah. Well, they were screwed. And I really needed to pay some rent and food. And, and I just said, well, I need my money. And he goes, we don't got no money to pay you. And I'm like, well, I'm going home. Because you going home, you're fired. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go sit at my desk for the rest of the day and hope a paycheck shows up. And by the end of the day, a paycheck showed up.
No kidding.
I don't know how.
You called the bluff. And
there's this place called Critical Mass where all these Folgard Vision guys took off and they started this thing called Critical Mass and they were working on Mercedes-Benz.
And contract.
This was before the year 2000. And I ended up working at this place when we were like 20, 21. Well, a lot happened in this like little brief period at the time of like, you're all going to be internet millionaires and shit was happening. Shit was blowing up at the same time.
Totally.
The next year was the bubble. And but by the bubble, I'd already had like 3 or 4 years of internet experience. I published the very first website that Trans-Canada Pipeline ever had. By the year 2000, we had like had Nike under our belt and Mercedes-Benz, lots of fun stuff. And so, I bounced around the design industry. I was there for a lot of years. But I always had a dream to be on the radio. So I chased my dream of being in radio. And I thought, well, I'm still young, maybe do this. And I come back to the design industry. So I went to SAIT and I applied for radio and I got in a 2-year program and it was really exciting. And I always dreamed of being the like morning guy.
So in broadcasting.
Yeah, that's where I met my wife. So we spent 2 years in radio, but I didn't go into radio.
Right.
She went into radio and I knew I didn't have enough money to do it. And separating her going one way and me going another way was not cool.
Right.
So I really enjoyed having her in my life and I wanted to keep that happening. So I got a bit of a design job and next thing you know, I'm back at Critical Mass with a pile more skills and a bit older and a bit more different attitude and not as ragey as the party guy
got
was.
it all over your system?
And I will tell you, and I will tell people who may listen that know me and or anybody advice, the second go around, maybe don't be the real hard partier and leave some mystery. Take off early, go hard, and then go home early.
Yeah. You're growing up. What age would you have been about this time?
So I was 24. And then I kind of started my own consulting gig again, which I always really had. I always had freelance and I would always do websites. I helped these guys start an agency in Calgary for 10 years. I was a creative director. I've evolved from a contractor to they became a business to an executive role. And next thing you know, I was helping run like a pretty big agency in Calgary, right?
How many people worked at the agency?
75, 80 maybe.
It's a good size.
Yeah. I had a creative department of like 15, 20 people maybe. But yeah, I ended up working on everything in Calgary. WestJet, Calgary Stampede. I branded downtown Calgary for 2.5 years, rebranded it. Calgary Zoo was a really awesome website and brand to work on. Got to work with Village Brewery and watched them grow. I worked right directly with Jim Button of Village Brewery, which was such a meaningful relationship to grow. I got to watch the Alberta craft beer scene grow and be part of that. Yeah, just a lot of crazy things in life. When I look back to try to make a client list, it's pretty awesome,
Yeah, you touched a lot of people over the years.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a really good ride. I always had something on the side. I always had a dream. I had a apparel line with some friends too at the same time as building this creative director thing. That was really a volunteer thing, but we'd go to Vegas. We'd pitch our wares with the biggest brands in the world at Magic. This is the biggest fashion show in the world. It was just hilarious. It's like, like UFC fighters are around pitching their wares. People are walking by. Kevin Willis from the Atlanta Hawks walks by me. He's the biggest person I've ever seen. You're a tall man, but this Kevin Willis is like a monster. I'd see real UFC fighters, and we're pitching our designs and our apparel in Vegas next to everybody, like Ed Hardy and the Hundreds and like every brand. We knew we were up against the big wigs.
Big bigs.
Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah. But it was cool. Like every brand was there. Yeah. Like everybody was there. Fashion, it was crazy. I'm doing that while I'm also got this corporate gig. But my wife got sick and got MS real early in my creative director 10-year haul. And so for 10 years, I was trying to help take care of her and have this job. So at the end, there was a tipping point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I was burning out. And at the time, mental health and all the stuff that we're talking about was not really a thought, right? That possibly the magnitude of things I went through might have been weighing on a young man's mind. So just before I was 40, I kind of left that corporate world.
It's fascinating just to see how you ended up kind of making those changes and seeing how priorities change over the years. So you mentioned before that you came out to Bragg Creek just after the flood.
I was telling you that we moved in 2014. We had a great home in Acadia that I thought it was going to be my forever home.
Yeah.
But I just didn't have a garage, and I knew I needed a space, like a maker space or a tinkering space, content creation space, which is now what you would call it. But I just needed something. I needed a studio. And I thought, well, let's look around, and so we looked around, and my wife was sick and things were getting, different. But my career was taking off. Okay, I just need a home with a garage. So I put in everything in MLS, and then put the price, and there was nothing in Calgary. It was just like the outskirts. And I'm like, what
could this be?
Yeah. And so I was mad. I was like, out of spite, I'm like, how far do I have to move out of Calgary to get everything I want? But I zoomed out, and all of a sudden in Redwood Meadows, it was like, boom, 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 boom. There was all these houses. I was like, what is Redwood Meadows? And then I'm like, hey, Jack, remember that crazy place we drove through that we thought was a cabin community? Well, it's not a cabin community. You can live there. And so then we looked at it, and we got a real estate agent. And once you look at houses out here, you're hooked.
Oh, you're fall in love.
Right?
Yes.
And so once we made the decision to move out to Redwood, but it was Bragg Creek though, because any of the getaway, like, let's get out of town. I just come here and we go to the Powderhorn.
Right.
It just felt like home, to the river and all this stuff. And then, I bought a house. So it's been, it's coming on 11 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be wild. And I haven't lived in any other location longer than that, like since I left my parents' house. So this is cool. Live in one house, one community, one area for a lot of years.
Absolutely. Turkey and pistols.
Yeah.
How long have you had it? When did you start?
Well, when I moved out to Redwood Meadows in 2014, I knew I wanted to do something like this. I knew I had wanted to do a hands-on project again. I was missing making something. And on Instagram at the time, maker spaces and maker accounts were blowing up. So I was like, man, that'd be cool. Show some stuff off, make some stuff again. I need my own hands-on thing. And so I just started this little tiny Instagram account called, I didn't even have a name for it. I was like, I got to come up with a name because it's got to be cool on Instagram. Can't be lame. It's got to be neat. It's got to be unique. It would be cool if it was from an old song. But I wanted to stand out. And I was driving into town, and my favorite artist of all time comes on, John Prine. And the song called Christmas in Prison comes on. And the first two lines are, it was Christmas in prison and the food was real good. We had turkey and pistols carved out of wood. And I wanted to make wood carved signs. And I'm like, there you go. That's my name. And I just couldn't believe it. I was laughing. Yeah. Told some people about it. They thought I was lunatic. And I'm like, I love it. I love it. That's why it's going to work, because you don't like it. So that's the beginning, was just a hobby shop.
Well, that's cool. When I first came to Bragg and I saw your store, I thought, well, it's a butcher shop and a gun shop. I mean, what else would they have in the country like this, right?
Right? Absolutely. And it draws people in. I would have never imagined being in the shop though. Like I tell everyone, I'm like, I probably wouldn't have called it Turkey and Pistols with the idea that it's going to be a giant sign in Bragg Creek. It wasn't part of the decision making. It's funny because it's now this really obscure thing, but I'm a fan of places
Absolutely.
like where you go to them and you're like, well, that's an intriguing place. We should go at least look at it. But yeah, there's other ways I could obviously add record shop and apparel next to it. The people that are curious, I love it. I come in and they're like, we had to see what a Turkey and Pistols is. And I always say, well, thank you for being curious, because being a crinkle nose outside and going, what's a Turkey and Pistols, which I can see you do through the window.
Right. You got some nice big windows.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not cool. Come on in.
Come on in,
what are you missing? You know, it's not scary. But yeah, it's fun. And the John Prine fans, there's people who beelined it across the parking lot. Like, I know what this is. Right? So yeah, it's fun. And then I've had lots of conversations about that guy.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. That's a heck of a story. People from all over the world are sending you pictures of your merch.
Yeah.
New Zealand and other parts of the world. Sitting on top of a mountain with a Turkey and Pistols or Bragg Creek.
Well, and it's really fulfilling because I do design every piece and print them all with my hands. Like, this is all my artwork. I literally created it with my actual intelligence, which is AI. I really did create all of this stuff with, various forms. Some are digitally designed, some are designed with Procreate, some are designed with a pencil. Most of them all become from in between my two big ears and in my head. Well, like, this is cool, but the most fulfilling, what you said, if it's on the other side of the world in Lithuania, which I know some stuff is, that might be one of 10 that exist in the world. Like, some of these shirts don't sell a lot. Whatever's hanging on the wall is only what I got for sale. I don't have a lot in the back every morning. But that's the coolest part. Like, some designs might not move a lot. And if you bought it, you might be the one of 5 people that got it in the world. And maybe I change the color next week, and now you're the only 5 people who got those shirts.
Yeah.
It's fun. And for me, that's really like my art now, and that I made with my hands. It's in Scotland. It's in Germany. It's in Pittsburgh and Brooklyn.
So you can elicit some pride when you see that.
Well, and now they're telling me that they're bumping into each other. Yeah, so this guy comes in and goes, I was in Puerto Vallarta, and this guy came up and said, are you from Bragg Creek? He goes, no, why? He goes, well, you were wearing a Turkey and Pistol shirt yesterday. So that's cool. That's why you do it. That's what's really great about it.
That is. Yeah.
And even my old clothing line with my buddies, it was called Good Child Cartel. It was fun. We had lots of cool stuff. Jay-Z once wore our stuff at a concert.
Wicked.
The Run This Town track by Jay-Z with Rihanna and Kanye. I think they wanted stuff for that video. But we just sent a bunch of stuff to his publicist, and we weren't sure if he was really going to wear this stuff. And then 2 years later, someone sends us a photo, and he's on stage in Vancouver wearing our gear. Like, it did make everyone happy, but it didn't blow up our brand. Might have helped now. It was really cool. So it's pretty fulfilling when this stuff happens.
No,
right?
absolutely.
Because like I said, it's small batch, and I take pride in that.
The designs are just awesome. They're so cool. They're unique. Quality of the garments as well. I've never touched a t-shirt so soft in my life.
Well, that's the art of the job. I think you got to learn how to pick your fabrics first. You got to know if they're going to print nice. But yeah, the art of picking the right t-shirt. Everybody's got a style. I don't know about cut and fit. I just know that these hold up great in the wash. So you're going to have these forever. The shirts I design are meant to go under a button-up shirt or a jacket, something to also be accessory, right?
Yeah.
So it looks kind of cool and it gives you something. But yeah, there's something for everybody in here. And
well, that's the thing about people come in here. If they're visiting from out of town, they'll come in and they'll see these designs now, but they come back next year for a visit. It'd be a completely different store.
Yeah. Well, the funny part is I want to switch it over, but people come in and like, where's that other one? I came here for that one. So
they like that one.
Yeah. So it's funny. Like, I want to keep it fresh and I want stuff for everybody. Yeah. It's almost, you kind of have to keep your classics up too, which is really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I got this one from my sister-in-law in Winnipeg. and she's soaking wet, maybe 110 pounds. So for iBed Power, I thought that was just the most funny thing when I saw that. So you've been in business now with Turkey and Pistols in Bragg Creek for how long?
2.5 years, over 2.5 years.
Two and a half years. Yeah. So how's your family supported you through the business?
Well, as Turkey and Pistols, the merch company, I was running for almost 7 years as an independent artist, and I was making merch and working out of my private studio in Redwood Meadows. That's where most of my printing equipment was. So I have been an independent business for 7 years, along the time COVID happened. My family helped me a lot financially. You know, I'm an independent artist. My wife, I'm a caregiver. I really like the world to know that sometimes caregivers like myself are also trying to dream still and have and pay the bills with our own money and our own skills and being an entrepreneur. And then COVID happened the first year after. I will say it was the worst financial thing to ever happen to me. I'm still trying to recover. Because you leave this job of your great corporate life and a consistent paycheck, and the world literally shut down. I was making merch. So I had survived 1 year before that, and I had my first full year. This is going to work. So I paid my taxes, and the whole world shut down. And then Trudeau's like basically saying on TV, like, I don't know, I got to stay home. So I basically thought I was out of a job. So my family helped me financially, mentally, lots of support, lots of encouragement, lots of conversations on the phone. But financially, my parents and my in-laws helped us there and just came down and been with us, helped us, with the house. But as we came out of that, it was encouragement, just keeping us going. So my family, my parents and everything have inspired me so much and turned me into the entrepreneur I am. They were both entrepreneurs. My dad had a service company when I was growing up. That's how he raised us. Pretty much worked 24/7. My mom was independent. She built herself a career. She was working at the college in Lloydminster and then left a great job to go independent. And people thought it was a risk, and she knew what she was doing. And when you're not in the right corporate situation and you're not with the right people, and that those aren't your people, you have to trust your gut. You have to walk, because if you bend your morals for work, and this is coming from my experience, not my mother's, but if you bend your morals just to keep your employment, then you're gonna regret that.
It's gonna kill your spirit.
Yeah, but they inspired me to do that and to be an entrepreneur. But then they always wanted this store. They knew ultimately this is where it should be. My dad came down to help me print some shirts for a bunch of people one day. He goes, "Why aren't you printing your own stuff? Why isn't it just Turkey Pistol?" I just said, "Well, I don't have a place to sell it yet." And my dad's not dumb, so he understood. Like, I got to get a base, and I got to let the world get comfortable with shopping too. So that was the other part. But they really, really encouraged it. Turkey and Pistols is 100% independently funded, family funded, Rob funded, every last credit spot funded. Like, there is no help from Indigenous groups. There is no help from the bank. Every grant said no. Every bank said no. Every Apatokasan Indigenous funded Métis business association were discouraging me to be in this space.
Really?
And I have no problem saying that, because these people on the other side, where they're judging small businesses to give them funding, banks, none of those people have ever been an independent business person. Most of them are lucky to have their corporate job, and they're judging small businesses.
Right.
So Turkey and Pistols 100% is as independently funded as possible. Sooner or later, I'll be doing whatever it takes. I am literally singing at the powder horn to help pay the bills. Like, that's the truth. Yeah. That's what I do. This place is all about family. And the whole point of starting this business was, if we win, I can set up my family forever.
Right.
And that's the hope. If I can get enough money out of here, I can bring my dad here and he can work with me when he wants to, I want to put the family business where we can have generational financial security. Mm-hmm. I don't want to call it generational wealth, but I come from a long line of pain. No one's thinking we're going to win. I just want to be able to sleep at night.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for my family, this place wouldn't be here. Financially, it's all about family.
It sounds like you've built up a lot of grit over the years. You come from a family that had that in their blood.
Well, yeah, we're poor. We come from poor people. My parents aren't poor now. They work really hard. But we come from like circumstances, big families. And like I say, the world is not set up for Indigenous men to win at business. This world is not encouraging, like, oh, who should we look out for first? Well, how about 46-year-old Indigenous business owners? And so guys like me, Indigenous or not, 46-year-old men that are trying their own thing, the world is not set up for us to win. So you kind of have to go, well, are you going to quit? Or are you just going to power through it?
Power through it.
And I have no other option. I have to win. I have to win. I can't fail. Yeah. It's not a fucking option.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the truth.
That's a good lesson for everybody to learn, I think. I think you touched on a good point. When people see, like the mall here in Bragg Creek or one of the malls, they drive past and they see a business, they've got a storefront, they've got, inventory and all these things. I think there's sometimes a preconception where people don't really think about what goes on behind all of that. And they may assume that you're a highly successful, affluent business owner, and because you've built all this. But what you're telling me is you can't read a book by its cover all the time.
Well, no, it's exactly what you said. I've talked to lots of my other entrepreneur friends, and they say like it's this idea that we're a small business owner, so we must have money to sponsor everything. We must have
right, yeah.
We must come from a millionaire family. No, we've risked it all to be here, and we just don't want your job anymore. We don't want to go and be told what we want to do and be told that you got to sit here from this time to this time or you're not going to get paid. That's not a job. I was born yesterday, but I've been up all night long. Right?
That's good. I like that.
And that's the thing. Like some people out here have decided to leave a very good job that people in the world would desire to go try their own idea once.
It's admirable. So what is something that you wish your customers knew or understood about your business, aside from what we just spoke about?
It's a tough one. What you got here is all my artwork. That's a big thing. With the rise of AI, like I'm here trying to create custom stuff. And the more AI goes, it allows people to create things faster and it takes the authenticity out of it.
A little soulless.
But what I notice is people enjoy when I've really taken time to create. The more time I've taken to draw something, I can see it in them. But they appreciate it. I drew that. They're like, you drew this. I'm like, yeah, I can really do that.
Yeah.
Right. I am an artist. I'm a local storyteller and a songwriter, and I want people to wonder what that's about. I want to tell people stories. I want to spread knowledge. I want to share. But I want people to know that this is the most welcoming place. You can come in here and we talk music and art in here.
Yeah.
This is international waters. No politics is allowed, but we can talk music all day. I don't care what walk of life you're from, what you believe in, who your mom is, who you date, how you pee. I don't care. You're welcome here to come talk music and art and creativity with me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. It's a great spirit. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned as an entrepreneur?
That no one is going to show up like on the movies or TV and save the day. The bank is not there to help you. I've helped banks in my marketing days. I spent hours with ATB and other banks trying to communicate how they're going to deal with small businesses, and nothing's changed. So you need to know that this is being an entrepreneur. It's all about hard work and self-funding and making sure you make the right sacrifices to get your business off the ground, because no one's coming to save the day.
What's your proudest moment so far in your entrepreneurship?
When I hear someone walk out that door and say, that was the coolest place I've ever seen. I'm not even kidding. They go, what a nice place.
Yeah. And a nice guy.
And they do. They say, what a nice guy. And I hear this by people walking up the door. And I try not to get emotional right now, but honestly, it's crazy that this little thing I've made has made people to say that, and they get all excited. The guys will come in and they'll walk past me like, hi. They'll just kind of blow past me.
And they just think you're a clerk.
And then they'll walk in here and they'll do a round, and then they'll come in and their face has changed and their whole body language changes. And they're like, what have I just went through? And they go through a time warp. And that's it. Like if I could get $5 for every time someone said those things to me, like what a cool vibe, what a great place. I can't believe. And literally this lady goes, "This is the coolest store I've ever been. You should win an award." And I literally came back here. I started crying. I was like, that's it. Like, I mean, I've built something real. Whether it's going to work, I still don't know, but I'm pretty proud of it. Yeah.
You should be. You should be. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty proud. I'm pretty proud of it.
It's fantastic. What tips do you have for people who are maybe thinking of starting a business in Bragg Creek? Wasn't easy to open the doors of Turkey and Pistols.
Well, you got to understand the most obvious one is there's a limited amount of population and traffic. So you kind of have to think about what are the offerings that are unique out here that nobody else is doing. You know, that's very important because you don't want to come in and just, they can get it down the street. So you got to have your unique offering. But I think if you're going to come into Bragg Creek, you got to think about how are you going to benefit this community? Like, what is your business going to do that's going to make an impact, stand out, make people want to come to Bragg Creek, right? How does your shop benefit? The first intention of Turkey and Pistols was to just move my merch company here. Then I'm like, but we could sell local apparel and that'll help keep the lights on. But right away I went, I'm in the main mall next to the Powderhorn Saloon. Why would I be doing private merch for people from all over when I could grow this thing for the community, right? People wanted music. They wanted a music community. They wanted to talk guitar. They wanted guitar lessons. They wanted singing lessons. They wanted an open mic. They wanted live music off the floor. Our communities really need is places for like-minded people to congregate.
Absolutely.
So if you like books, you need to go next door. If you like pizza, you got to go to the pizzeria or Bragg Creek Pizza on Thursday. You got to figure out what is it that's going to make a difference in a community. That's what'll thrive in any place. If you're just going to bring in a business that could just literally be anywhere, well, how does that help any town, right?
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Well, I mean, I love this little town, and I mean, little towns are cool, right? Yeah. And that's what it, like my other favorite place in the world is Kihei in Maui. Okay. That's where I got married. Sweet. And I love it. I miss it. I haven't been in since it'll be 7 years. I went on my 40th birthday and that was our last trip. But Bragg Creek is really neat because we're so close to Calgary, because we're on the offshoot of Calgary's country music scene. These are real rural people out here.
Absolutely.
This could be a mini, tiny little Austin, Texas. Like, yeah. It's got a vibe, right? And that's what I mean. If we put our heads down, you can really sell something, but you gotta support local. You gotta put an event up. Local. You gotta show up to the songwriter nights. You gotta go out to the music, and you gotta Instagram that shit. So then, so someone else somewhere goes, "Holy shit, we gotta get there because it's so cool," right?
I'm gonna rapid fire you some questions here, and you just spout off what first thing comes to your mind. What did you want to be when you grew up?
On the radio, I wanted to be a disc jockey.
A disc jockey, like a Howard Stern disc jockey?
More like you're like Dr. Johnny Fever from WKRP in Cincinnati. Yes. I wanted to be Dr. Johnny Fever. Yeah, absolutely.
What did your parents want you to be?
Anything I wanted. Yeah. They were cool. Once I was creative, they just was like, whatever you want to do, we got you.
That's sweet. What was your first job?
I work with my dad. My dad's a plumber. My dad can do everything, but my dad ran Sawchuk's plumbing and heating. So I've been running like water lines and digging like water, like foundations, and I've done more plumbing. My brother probably were journeyman plumbers by the time we were 16, right? Like you don't hire someone when you got two guys.
That's why you have children.
And yeah, how do you keep them out of trouble? How do you keep them out of trouble? Yeah. Burn them out.
Yeah, keep them tired.
Yeah, no, but my dad paid us, and that was cool. So yeah,
that's awesome.
I guess I was a plumber, more or less.
What was your favorite job? I think I know the answer, but.
Oh, do you? What do you think?
You're creative. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I mean, that's it. Like, I don't know. I've said this in the past. I'm a creative person. So it's just me being Rob is my favorite job. Like when I can just be the independent artist that I am, whether it's designing a website, writing you a song, painting you a picture, designing you a t-shirt. That's my favorite thing. Just being allowed to just be me.
That's a great
service provider.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What was your worst job?
It's hard to think because I'm pretty positive. Like I always can come up with some reason, something fun. I don't even know.
You probably just blocked it out of your memory. I know I've done that.
Probably. I haven't had too many shitty jobs. I can tell you that.
Well, you're fortunate then. What are your thoughts on artificial intelligence?
I'm a big proponent for time management. So AI is really allowing people to do a lot. Like you can learn so much instantly. You can get answers instantly. Now, the other side, though, is of creativity. No one wanted this to make our lives less creative, you know? So the only thing I can say of anyone using creative AI to make creative art, even music, drawing, design, that instant gratification of getting that instant beautiful art piece does not do what happens when I create art custom from scratch.
That's true.
So when I start from scratch, chemical reactions happen in my brain and into my body. And so when I set a goal and that path towards the accomplishment releases so much endorphins and so much testosterone, all kinds of chemicals go on in your brain. Your body changes, your mind changes, your anxiety changes. When you accomplish the goal, now another set of things. Now you're hanging the art piece up on the wall. Now someone comes in and appreciates that to you, and they say that to you. So all that chemical accomplishment from setting the goal, chasing the goal, flow state, achieving the goal, getting appreciation, and now maybe even selling it.
It's amazing.
You're chemically changed as a human being. So you want to use AI to create your art, or would you like to chemically change and improve yourself by just drawing a picture?
That's a great way to put it. What's your favorite business in Bragg Creek, aside from turkey and business?
Well, I already said it earlier. I moved out here because I would love to come and spend a little afternoon and then end up at the Powderhorn.
Yeah, it's cool.
So that's easily that's an easy answer. So I would like to say Bragg Creek Foods across the way. The grocery store out here has been one of my favorite places because the food is really good. The consistency is really good. The meat is spectacular. And that's a family-run business. They've held down in Bragg Creek for so long. They need the love. I don't shop anywhere else. So I think I'd like to say they're the highlight.
It is a jewel. Yeah. It is a jewel. It's such an asset to have in the community. And you're right. It's not a sexy business, but I mean, it is a staple. Yeah. We need it. We all need it. And to have that kind of resource right here, I mean, you really don't have to leave. You don't want to, you don't have to leave town.
They got everything.
They got everything.
They got the weirdest sauces in the back that are like super high end. And they said, if you want something, let them know and they'll bring it in. That's why they got like pretty random high end sauces. They got different spices, stuff you probably wouldn't imagine being in our little tiny shop that are kind of specialty. It's because the locals said, hey, if you bring this in, I'll buy it here, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't buy groceries anywhere else. And I don't even think about, that's spending local.
Where can listeners find you online?
Turkey and Pistols is on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Check out our YouTube. It's really awesome. We've been recording some music with some locals, and I'm really proud of the sound that we're making out of Turkey and Pistols. We recorded it here off the floor. I recorded some stuff at the Powderhorn. And my wife, my friends, Buddy Colin on Denver, Mitch, all these great people that are coming out and singing for us, Selena over at the hardware store, they're killing it. And so I'm really proud of the music.
Free plug time. What do you got going on? What do you want people to know?
I want you to know that, we're going to make a lot of music out of Turkey and Pistols and Bragg Creek. And I believe that the river is providing a lot of creativity and sound and inspiring people. So I think if we can build something up here in Bragg Creek, that we're a creative community that people got to come check out and not just think that it's in the city. The city needs to know about this creative movement that's happening out here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a big part of the future of Bragg Creek. Mm-hmm. When's the next open mic?
April 1st.
At the Powderhorn.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, first Tuesday of every month. 7 till 9, but we might add a little bit of time so I can fit in a few more songs.
Rob, thanks very much.
No, thank you I hope this works out, man. And I think this is a very good thing that you're going to do for our community. Yeah, man.
Well, I hope so. Well, I appreciate that. You've been very gracious with your time, and it's just been great to hear your story. I do have a couple of gifts for you.
What?
Because I've got a couple of pieces of vinyl that I've collected over the years that have never been played. And you may have them in your collection or you may not. I don't know. No. So here's one that I picked up way back in the day, the Sheepdogs.
What?
Future nostalgia. Never been played. I think I got that at a Stampede in like 2013 when I picked it up.
See,
I want you to have that one.
All right.
And then this one is Matt Mays, Coyote.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of good ones on there. I really liked. Again, never been played.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. I've had them for years. I don't even have a record player. I was going to get into vinyl like a decade ago. It hasn't happened. You'll make good use of them.
That's super cool,
before
man.
I will. So.
Well, thank you so much. That's super cool. That was unnecessary. But yeah, these type of things probably just go in the private Rob collection.
Right on.
Okay, man.
So for locals and visitors to Bragg Creek, get down here, visit Turkey and Pistols, pick up some Bragg Creek swag, some gifts, take a listen to some John Prine when you're here, and have a great conversation with Rob. He would love to host you, and he loves a good chin wag. So thanks again, Rob.
No, thank you very much. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you, sir. You too.